So my name is Kathy, and I am a graduate student at Florida International University studying hospitality and tourism management. I was adopted when I was 5 months old and came to the United States in March of 1979. I came over from Korea with a representative from the adoption agency that was located in Pennsylvania. And when we arrived at the airport in New York, where my family joined me, the representative just called my parents' name and then handed me over. Didn't ask for ID or adoption documentation, so that was it. My father, when he looked down at me and he was holding me, he said, "I think they gave us the wrong baby, but she's really cute and I love her already, so let's get out of here." I don't really remember the moment when they first told me that I was adopted. It was just sort of something that was natural, and I don't remember any huge drama over it. I just always knew. I think part of that process, or part of the what made it so easy, was that my adoptive father is Chinese from Malaysia. If anyone were to feel like an outcast in my family, it would be my mother, because she would always be the only white face in pictures and whatnot. I remember my mother saying when I was still a baby, I would just cry, middle of the night, cry whenever, and what she had read was it could be that I'm feeling homesick. And that I think followed me through, my young childhood years, where I would just feel incredible sadness. I grew up in New Hampshire. My family actually lived in a few different places, but settled in New Hampshire, and that's where I lived. And it was a very small New England town, and so very white. Even though it was very white, and I obviously was the minority, a lot of times I didn't really notice. I think because I was so young, and kids were kids, people were people. But then I started to experience racism very blatantly, and that was a total shock and really just rocked me to my core. And I'm a really sensitive person anyway, so I took it very personally, and I still do. And so that's when I think I became aware of the fact that I'm Asian and I'm different from other people. So it'd be like the typical racist comments like "ching chong ching" and $5, that kind of stuff, which I still get today, sadly. It did hurt my self-esteem, and because I am very sensitive, and because I'm more of a shy person, I internalized it and I never talked about it. And I still have a hard time talking about it, but it definitely hurt. And the good thing about it, or if there is a good thing about it, is that I was fortunate that I could go home and I could say what happened if I wanted to talk about it. And my family would understand. My father experienced racism, my brother, and so we were coming from the same place. And so I'm so fortunate that I had that support and understanding. Based on the racism that I was getting, I didn't want people to think that I was foreign or an immigrant or, the stereotypical Asian person living in a different country. So I shunned that too. I didn't want anything to do with Chinese culture or my dad's family at all. But I think it's all related. I think it's also related to, me not wanting to pursue finding out more about my adoption. When I was older, I realized that I had sort of resolved to the fact that I would never find my birth mother because we just don't have a lot of information. And so I just used that as an excuse to just be like, it's never gonna happen, so I'm not even gonna think about it. My family and my parents really left me to my own devices to decide if I wanted to pursue it or even to talk about it. And again, I do appreciate that. It was never forced on me. Korean culture was never even forced on me. They were always there. We could always talk about it. My mother has a bunch of books on adoption that was for children, for adopted children, not just for adoptive parents. So it was always there, but it was never forced on me. And it's still the same way. I certainly have issues related to being adopted, and there's a feeling of loss and pain. I actually feel sometimes that, and maybe I'm just thinking way too highly of myself, but that I'm the glue that keeps everybody together. With my family, it's more of just trying to make sure that everybody is happy, and no one's fighting, and everyone's getting along, and so it's just more like a diplomat. and I'm like that in my friendships and in relationships, and it's rooted in the fact that I really don't like conflict. I don't like fighting in any context, and I think that's related to being adopted, and maybe it is this fear of abandonment. That's how it's showing up in me. It's just wanting to keep everybody happy and at peace, so nothing bad will happen. I never really had a strong desire to pursue learning about adoption or learning about Korean culture or connecting with other Korean adoptees until I reached college. And there were a few things happening at that time. One, I met a really good friend who was a twin. And when I saw them together, her sister, they're identical twins, I just thought it was so cool. It was so cool that she has somebody else on this earth that not only is related to her, but looks exactly like her. And that sort of stirred feelings inside. Like, I really would like to find somebody that looks like me and, who's short as I am, But I also was coming to terms with my sexuality. I'm gay, and at that time, I hadn't addressed it at all. And going away to college, it, sort of opened that up. And so the whole idea of identity itself just was really, became a big part of my life at that time. And from that point, I've noticed that my interest in adoption and my own adoption and wanting to go to Korea and maybe try to find my birth mother, it goes in phases. It's ups and downs and ebbs and flows. And it seems to go up, and when it almost reaches like an apex, when it's really intense, the interest just drops. And I really questioned why. Why is that? Why does all of a sudden I just, no, I don't want anything to do with it. And I think the reason is because I don't really even connect a lot of times with other Korean adoptees. And it makes me very sad. It makes me very sad to know that some people are struggling with their adoption. But, it sort of leaves me with nothing to say and no way to respond, really. And so I think that's one reason why I've just kind of kept it at bay. And also added to this identity question, because, if I can't connect with the Korean adoptee community, I certainly can't connect with the Korean community because, I'm Korean, but not really. I don't speak the language. I don't know the culture, customs at all. And not biologically related to my family, where does that leave me? You know, what community is mine? And I think that's why I am very serious and very interested in going to Korea, at least just to go, and to feel what it's like to be around Korean people, to see if maybe it's just that, maybe it's just wanting to get to know Korea. Will that fill the void? I don't know. Supposedly, when I was dropped off by my mother, a birth mother, she wrote on a piece of paper my Korean name. She named me, and my date of birth. So we have that, and I think we have the orphanage where I stayed in Busan. So my Korean name is Hyang-hee, Kim Hyang-hee, which I have a Korean friend, and I told her my name, and she said that she's never heard it before. So I don't know. But yeah, no, it is Hyang-hee. And I've had it written out in Korean for me. I've never really felt anger or resentment. And I don't know if maybe because just the circumstances of both my adopted family and being so open about it, and the age that I was adopted at, and then, you know, I don't want to think that my birth mother abandoned me because she didn't want to have a child. And the fact that she took the time to write my name and my birth date before she left, I think is evidence to that there's something more, there's something else that I don't know. And so I can't say that it was abandonment. I really want to know. I want to know who looks like me, and why am I so short, or, you know, flat-chested, or gay? Is there anyone else gay in my biological family? So yeah, it's curiosity about my identity and wanting to fulfill those questions, I guess. I think at its core, that regardless of the circumstances of your adoption story, your experience, it is a gift. It's an opportunity, and it's intended to be a loving and happy and beautiful thing for everyone. You know, it could not have been easy for any birth mother to make the choice to give up her child. And that, you know, I have to go back to that to remember that this is supposed to be a good thing. And what happens after that, you know, that doesn't make adoption. It's the whole thing. It's taken all together. I think it was after meeting another Korean adoptee when I decided officially in my mind to begin the search. Went back into my file, the records that we have, and looked up the orphanage names and all of that, and then contacted Welcome House, which is the adoption agency in the US that handled my adoption. They told me the process. They attached the documents that I needed to fill out and told me, you know, these are what you need to have for the application, and at that point it was feeling really, really real. And I actually, even though I had all the information and all the application documents that I needed, I didn't fill them out right away because I knew that once I did and once I hit send, that was it, that there was no going back, and that I would have to face whatever information I would be sent about my birth family and the whole adoption. So I waited, and then I just, again, one day I just woke up and I said, okay, I'm ready to do it. I think a few days later they actually sent just an acknowledgement, like, thank you for your application. They gave me very generic information, like it'll take this amount of time, and, you know, we'll let you know as soon as we know anything. And in the meantime, I actually found online, thanks to Google, a website for the Namkan Orphanage, which is the orphanage that I stayed in Busan, where I was born. And I emailed them. And they actually responded pretty quickly as well. And I gave them all of the information that I had available. And they did actually say that they were sorry that they didn't have any information on my adoption or me or my birth family. And then I think at some point I did receive an email from Korea Social Services after submitting the application. And they sort of said the same thing, that they don't really have a lot of information, basically just saying when I was born and the date that I was adopted. So I had, yeah, everyone was telling me they didn't have any information. Well, we all have expectations. We may lie to ourselves and say that we don't, but I think we always do. It's a very human thing. And so of course I had expectations that I would meet the orphanage or one of the orphanages or KSS or Namkan, and they would tell me this great story about, you know, who my birth parents were and the situation and why they gave me out for adoption, and that when I would land in Busan, it would just be, you know, memories would flood back and et cetera, which, you know, I mean, I was, 4 months when I left Busan, so, yeah. But at the same time, I was completely open to whatever would come. I mean, there was the expectation, but I was also very aware that that was very dangerous to have. And so I was trying to train myself and remind myself to just be open to whatever happens. They may know nothing. You may come away with nothing and just see the place, explore the city, have a nice time, and that's it. And looking around and being around all the Koreans, first thing I think of is, who looks like me? Does anybody look like me? And I mean, the glaring answer is no. I don't look like anybody. They look like me. But so yeah, I didn't feel connected. The first few days in Seoul did not feel Korean, and I just didn't feel any kind of bond. So that was a little bit disappointing, because I think the expectations, I just expected not obviously to be welcomed with open arms by people, but a little bit more warmth, I think. Before going to Korea Social Services, I think just not stress, but the anxiety of trying to figure out where it is and getting there. And at some point, I just knew that we either were lost or the walk would be 4 times as long as I thought it was going to be. I actually saw a hospital as we were walking, and we figured that somebody would speak English. I went in and talked to the security, I think he was just a security guard, the front desk, and tried to ask for directions. This address.
Number.
He spoke a little bit of English. And while that was nerve-wracking as well for me, I liked that experience because I was speaking with another Korean person, and he seemed very willing and cooperative and wanting to help, and volunteering his time and calling the Korea Social Services to help get directions, and eventually helped get a taxi and explained to the taxi driver where I needed to go. So it was part of the adventure, nerve-wracking, but I sort of enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I was paying attention to the neighborhood, to the environment, and I liked it. I mean, it kind of reminded me of a little bit of Manhattan. It was a little not as clean and proper as the area where I'm staying in Seoul. And there are mountains. You can see the mountains just flanking the city. So that was nice. When we pulled up to the entrance, I had seen some pictures of their grounds on their website, so I had a bit of an idea of what it was like. But it was sort of hidden away. You drive up this hill and you drive past a park, a national park on the left, and then all of a sudden you're there. So I was struck by that because it seemed like it was private.
Thank you.
We'd go in and it didn't feel like a very nice, warm building we went in. Just kind of like an office, cold. It was a little bit chilly. When the woman came out, and it did feel like we were just going through the motions, where we would, she took me into a room and, just sat down, and she had a folder in front of her, and I didn't know how it would start. I mean, she'd just get right into it and say blah, 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 blah. Or do we have, nice small talk for a while? I don't know. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I thought I would just come and see if I could find any information that you already had.
Yeah.
Just to see the full file, because I don't know if maybe there was something else. Yes, we've seen these. We never really believed that this was me. Because when I came, I looked so different.
Oh.
But, yeah. So we were always told, I guess maybe they just made it up, but we were told that when I was left at the orphanage or wherever I was left, that the name and birth date was pinned to my clothes.
So
but maybe that's not
officer
really...
papers. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know even the birth date. Maybe it's not really...
According to the record from Namgang, you were born at the birth clinic in Busan, and on the same day you came to Namgang Children's Home.
Oh, the same day.
Yeah. So I think your date of birth is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. On the same day according to this record, you came to Namgang on the same day when you were born.
Do you know, is it still in existence?
We don't know.
Okay. The adoption process happened very quickly for me because I was born October, and then by March I was already in the USA.
Yeah.
It's very quick.
Yeah, at the time it was very quick. Usually 3 months to 5 months. These days it takes about 1 year.
Yeah.
As you may know, your adoption was referred from an orphanage in Busan, Namgang Children's Home. And at the time, we got a little information from Namgang Children's Home. But according to the papers from Namgang, your birth parents were married and had two daughters, and you were born the third. And their economic condition was not so good. So right after your birth, your adoption was arranged and you were placed to Namgang Children's Home. And we got the personal information on your birth parents from Namgang, so we tried to find them, but according to the Korea Adoption Services, they could not find your birth mother's record. So it
Or
means
maybe she does not want to be found.
We are not sure. Yeah, we could not find her means her personal information is not correct.
Yeah.
Then we don't know which part is wrong.
Yeah.
But they found that the police found the record of the birth father's information, but he passed away. So they could not get any kind of contact information or record to trace after them.
I think I've went through all 7 stages of grief from that point on. That was just left me ineffable. I mean, there was an ineffable sadness.
And what about the siblings?
We have only their names and ages. And with this information, it is not possible to try to find the person in Korea. We have to know the ID number, but without ID number, at least we have to know their date of birth. But for your birth parents, we have their names and date of birth, but for your sisters, just name and ages. So it was not possible.
But you have the ID for my birth mother, or no?
Just the date of birth.
Just date of birth?
Yes.
Okay. What is her date of birth?
It is not possible to open this information. It's a kind of personal information. Even though we could not find her, but this is a kind of personal information, so we cannot open.
Okay. Who has that record though? The Namgon? Or you also have in the file that information?
Yes, we have.
You have it, but you just cannot give it.
Yeah, right. We cannot open.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we cannot give you their ages for your imagination.
Just give us.
In 1978, your birth mother was 26, and your birth father, they were same age, 26 in 1978.
Okay. And I was the youngest child.
At the time, yeah, you're the youngest.
But you're unable to find the birth mother.
No,
You cannot find.
no.
Dealing with first the emotion that my birth father is dead. Then I have to take in the information that I have 2 sisters and that my birth mother is still out there possibly and just can't be found. And it's like, how do you respond to that? As she was saying this, I was thinking of her, actually. I was thinking of how many times has she told an adoptee about their past. And it seems so easy for her to just relay the information. But I guess, like a doctor who's giving information, whether or not it's bad or what, that she has to remain stoic and remain, professional. But it was just sort of like, boom, 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 like give me a minute to digest. Because she had never let on an email communication since July 2014 that they had any information, that they had any of this information. And so I went into this meeting just thinking we're gonna have a talk about, this is our facility, and give a tour and get to know each other. I just was not prepared to know all this, and I'm grateful. I'm just overwhelmed. One day you are this person, and the next day you find out about your past.
Can you give me the name of my birth father?
Yeah, I can give you birth father's name.
Maybe later we can write it down or make a copy or something.
We can copy you our Korean documents, but we have to without their date of birth. Yeah, it is okay. If you're okay, then you can copy these documents without their date of birth. Okay.
She gave me a copy of certain documents that had the names of my birth parents and the names of my two sisters. They're older. One was 4 when I was born, and the other was 2. And it was only those 3 pieces of paper were just 3 pieces of paper among many in a file this thick that she had. And I'm thinking, why can't I have those? I feel like I have every right to see what she sees. It just bothers me. I don't think it's right. It's just another example of how this whole process of adoption, and I don't think just here in Korea or other international adoption, it seems that it's done to protect the parents more than protect the child. And I have a serious issue with that.
It kind of pisses me off that they've had this information. They didn't tell me. Yeah. Like, what are you waiting for? It's just overwhelming. I mean, I have 2 sisters. My father died. And I can't find my birth mother, and they can't give me her date of birth. Like, and maybe she just doesn't want to be found. And like at this point, I don't even know what to do to continue. I don't know. I'd actually really like to know where my father is buried. I mean, I feel like I should be able to have that. I can find that. If I can't find anybody else. It was just more than I expected them to tell me, because we've been communicating and they never said anything that they had any information. I feel like I could have prepared for it a little bit. It's just like, it's very shocking.
Is your birth mom's name?
Oh, this is the name.
Yeah, name. And is your birth father's name?
Oh, okay.
But
without date of birth.
Without date of birth, that's ages. And second page, then your sister's names and ages.
At the time.
At the time, right? Yeah.
What is this?
Same birth parents, not half siblings.
Okay.
And the reason about your adoption, the economic condition was not good, but they had 3 daughters, including you, and your birth mom's health condition was not so good, so they could not take care of
you. Will you be able to tell me where my birth father is buried?
No more information from the police. Yeah.
So you get all the information from the police?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I did not know you had all this information. When did you find all of this information?
September 25. These days, we are searching for the birth family through Korea Adoption Services.
Korea Adoption Services.
And Korea Adoption Services, they are trying to get the address of the birth family through police and or the local government office.
Okay.
I was really, really angry. I mean, why didn't you tell me this before, even in an email? You should tell me immediately when you have this information. Why would you wait? And I thought that as the day wore on, and when I went back to my hotel room by myself and just had quiet time and time to think, that I thought that everything would come out and I would just break down. But I didn't. And again, I'm not sure if I was psychologically preventing that from happening. But I eventually, later in the evening, I told my adoptive parents over Skype about everything that happened. And of course there were tears, but my adoption mother was really great, just listening and being supportive and just kind of amazed as well by the news. Kept it together, and my dad was quieter, and then later my mother had to get up and do something. She left the Skype call and handed the computer to my dad, and he was crying. And I didn't cry because I didn't want to make him feel worse and cry more, but it made me think about why does this make me cry? Why does it make him cry? And it's sad, but it shouldn't be. I mean, getting the news that my birth father died is sure it's death, and I'll never know, I'll never be able to meet him and get to know him. But to know that my birth mother is still out there, maybe, and that I have 2 sisters, that's very happy. And this whole thing should be very happy coming back. And it sort of is that closure that a lot of adoptees are looking for, and what I think I was looking for. And it's still not, I mean, there's still many more questions. But yeah, what is it that just elicits all of these emotions? And I think a lot of it is relief. I think for all of us in the family, it's been 36 years.
Okay, I will show you how I can go around.
You have a lot of people come back to
Yes. In a year, we have about 150.
Did you have more girl babies than boy
Right, at
babies?
the time. When we had many children from the poor families, we had more girls. But from the unwed mothers, it's about same.
Same. In Busan, it doesn't say what profession or what my birth parents did for work in the file. I don't think.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me check the documents. Your birth mother was a housewife, and your birth father was a office worker. 회사원. It's a worker, but I'm not sure office worker or factory worker. The company.
Birth mother.
Just a housewife. Had no job.
It's like nice adopted mother.
So that was your building. Yeah.
Did it have a name?
No, not special name.
Nice grounds, though. Seems like would hope. You know, kids had fun playing. It's a little eerie, though, that they've like I like it, and I also don't, because it's like. They've kept it, and it's very nice for adoptees to come back and see, but it's very museum relic-y. It's nice. I mean, I'm happy because I can see it, but like these, I feel like have been here forever. It's just like a moment frozen in time. Like, you know, when somebody dies, like say your husband or whatever dies, and you leave the room the same. Just like the nursery, everything is the same, like a museum. But I'm happy that they do it for the adoptees to come back and see. And like, I wish I could go inside. That's just been completely left to go to waste. But it's just it's also a weird feeling, because it feels like death. Like it feels like it's a weird feeling.
But I'm not smart enough to remember you all.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
After meeting with my orphanage, the Korean Social Services, and getting all the information and learning about my past, I did feel a connection to other Korean adoptees, and a bond. And I get it now. Like I understand what they go through, what they've been through, and the emotions that they feel, and still the constant questions that they have. I really wanted to get to Busan because I wasn't feeling anything for Seoul, really. I just, you know, was ready to go see the city I was born in. I was nervous too, obviously, because I thought, expectations being as they are, I thought maybe I wouldn't feel anything for Busan either. You know, maybe I've just put too much expectation on how I would feel when I stepped on the ground there for the first time. I took the train from Seoul to Busan, and my seat faced backwards. So, you know, I'm sitting this way, but the train is actually moving this way. And I thought, you know what, that's so me. Like, I'll be pulling into Busan, seeing it backwards. It just seemed appropriate. As I came up from underground to the street and seeing that Busan for the first time, I liked it because it reminded me of it's a beach town, beach city, and I kind of like that feeling. And it was wonderful to see the ocean again, and just the people too. The people, they look different to me. I don't know, I just can't really describe it, but or maybe I'm just making it up because I was born here, so everything's better. But it was a really good feeling. I was feeling really, really positive about everything. I wasn't even sure what I wanted to get out of going to the orphanage in Busan, Namkan, because I was fairly certain that they wouldn't have any different information or further information from what Korea Social Services had. The current director of the entire facility was also there. And it turns out that he's the grandson of the founder, which was kind of remarkable, especially because the grandfather, the founder, was there when I was there. So it was an interesting connection to have with him. And the director just started off and then telling me very general information about what they do, and she's essentially saying that they don't have any record of me at all. So I just was thinking, how is this meeting going to end? Like, what can we talk about now? They did show me a book that had just historical photographs, black and white photographs, so I could see a little bit of what it looked like when I was there in the 70s, and I thought, okay, well, that's it. That's going to be it. It's kind of frustrating. I'm gonna let it go.
Oh, we have an important surprise for you. Kim Heng-hee and you.
Yeah, we have this KSS. Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, finally, we're getting somewhere. And it wasn't completely shocking to see, only because it looked the same as the file that I already had. But what made our meeting very unique was that I asked her to translate each line of the document for me.
Where's the sister? Myung Sun, Myung Sun Kim. Yeah, your Korean family name is Kim. Second sister. His name Yoon Hee. Yoon Hee Kim.
And then she got to the line that describes why they gave me up for adoption, and she started crying.
Your parents had three sisters, three daughters, and they could not manage the family because they were not rich, and they had no choice to give us a third daughter.
That really struck me, that she was so moved to tears to read that.
And your mother was not healthy in this record.
I suspected that because they told me that she was a housewife.
Oh yeah.
And that seems strange to me, that if they cannot afford a third child, why didn't she just go get work? But if she was not healthy, then that
she was not
explains
healthy.
why. Does it say why she was not healthy, or does it say?
We don't have no records about your mother's health situation.
At that point, I felt some sort of bond with her even. And she, I think that affected her so much that she said to me that she thinks that they will help find my sisters. So that was very special. Do these have meaning?
그
행희는
네.
아까 이게
예,
행복한
행복한 the happy. happy 이거 개지 비싸죠. happy 뭐라 해야 되겠노? the women child, a girl child. Yeah, girl. Happy girl.
Happy girl.
Yeah, maybe happy girl.
Kay said, I asked her about my name, and she said that, she said it means happy, happy girl. So that was, again, I wonder how long they had been thinking about names, for me. And that it was, to me, it's a loving gesture to name your child that you'll never meet.
Thank you.
Do you want to show?
Yeah, sure. You have time.
잠깐 나가서. You're welcome. Take care.
This is what my origins, this is what I came from, these type of people. I'm sure they were doing the best that they could, but I think I'm sure other adoptees have felt the same, but even though I had never met these people, I was sort of, and even it's traumatic to think about that your own birth parents can give you up. But even so, I, in my head, with this fantasy, was putting them on a pedestal. But I do that anyway. I do that with everybody. And I was doing it with them, and it's like, they were just people, just struggling, I'm sure, and average people. I'm very glad that I came and did this. Not just came to Korea, but went on the meetings and embarked on the search and went to Busan. I'm grateful for the social workers, really. It's hard for them. It's hard for them to have these conversations with hundreds of adoptees that come back. I just, it was time. I'm 36, and it's knowing this information, these facts, and having the names of my birth parents and my sisters and the addresses, and going to see the orphanage and seeing the scenery that I must have seen, as a baby. Those are things that I guess I wanted to see and experience. But I'm telling myself that all of this, I can't direct the rest of my life. I can't expect these answers that I have and the questions that I still have to decide the course of my life. And I think with this expectation that I thought if I could learn something about the profession of my birth parents, that I could say, oh, okay, maybe I could follow in their footsteps. And it's so clear now that that's not reality. It's not how one should build one's life anyway. I've been living my life for the past 36 years, and working and being successful in my own ways and growing as an individual, being raised by wonderful adoptive parents and with my brother, have made me who I am. In my past too, but I can't also let it hold me back from going off and doing whatever I was meant to do. And that it should just be just a collection of my history and not a deciding factor of who I will become. What does adoption mean to me? You know, I have to be honest and say that I don't know. I have such mixed emotions now after going through this experience. I don't know. I mean, for me personally, yes, it was a gift because we only have one life, so I don't know what my life would have been here. The only life that I know is the one that I've lived with my adoptive family, and it was, like any family, we have our dramas and challenges and whatnot. But overall, it was an extremely positive and really healthy one in terms of adoption. But of course, at the same time, I mean, this everything that I'm going through is hard. It hurts. But I was brought to an orphanage. So what? I would stay in an orphanage until I was 18. What is happening now at Namkan? I think orphanages are doing wonderful things for those children, but compared to the life living with a family and a loving family, I would choose a loving family. I think I've changed in the sense that it feels really cool to think that I have two sisters. I've always wanted a sister. And I feel a greater connection not just to Korea, but to the world, to humanity. I've felt, I think a lot of other adoptees feel the same, that even though I had a loving childhood and still a loving family, adoptive family, there is a disconnect, and there's just something that is just not quite there. And I feel just part of something bigger. And just, I don't know, it feels good.